All team, give it everything you got.
It's time to fangirl flail with Fangirls Going Rogue.
Count me in.
I don't think there's anything more important in the Star Wars universe than the fans.
News, discussion, and commentary from the female point of view.
You call this a diplomatic solution?
No, I call it aggressive negotiations.
With your hosts, Teresa Delgado, Tricia Barr, and Sarah Woloski.
Boy, am I glad to hear your voice.
Strap in, because this is where the fun begins.
I like the sound of that.
Hey, Young Cubs, and welcome to episode 57 of Fangirls Going Rogue. I am one of your hosts, Teresa Delgado, and with me are my awesome fangirl besties. I don't know why I said besties. I never use that word, ever. Tricia, help me.
You should have said BFF.
I know. I think BFF is a more 90s term for best friends. You know what we need? They need to make one of those necklaces that splits into 3 parts.
That would be perfect for me because growing up, I've always had a trio of friends. So we've always been 3 best friends.
I don't know if they make those though. But formal introductions. Tricia Barr, fangirl blog and hyperspace theories. Which part of that necklace would you want? The end or the middle?
Not the part that Paige Tico is holding on to in The Last Jedi.
Oh.
Jeez. That was really well played.
I'm just saying. I was watching the deleted scenes, missing scenes, and they have that nice little shot of her grabbing it that they cut out, and I was like, man, that really kills. Heartbreaking. So yeah, but if we could all have the part that's not, Paige Tico's, I'd be good.
Yeah. And Sarah Woloski from Skywalking Through Neverland.
Hi.
Which part I think you should have I think you guys need the ends and I need the middle because I'm in the middle of the country.
Oh, I see.
So guys, guess what? I saw Black Panther.
Finally.
I did. And when I saw it, after I left, I was like, oh, that's what everybody's blowing up the internet for.
So which character stuck out to you the most?
Shuri.
Yeah.
She was like, oh my gosh, she's amazing. Everything about her and the interaction between her and Black Panther, whose actual name I forget
T'Challa.
at the current. Thank
T'Challa.
you. Was so great. Their brother-sister banter. I really love that. I love the whole family dynamic of it too. That's something we haven't really seen in a Marvel movie either, which I really liked.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was so many really, really cool parts, and there was some really funny humor. Also, I was watching a YouTube video of the Graham Norton show just before we started recording, and Martin Freeman was on there, and he said the nickname for Martin Freeman and Andy Serkis by the cast was the Tolkien white guys. But yeah, now I get what you guys are talking about, and I've listened to Fangirl Chat that you guys did an awesome job of, and I was like, wow, I should have seen this movie before I saw it. I just have had trouble getting to the movie theater, but it was so good. I want it on Blu-ray when it comes out. So very excited. But we have some awesome Star Wars news. I know, Tricia, your Twitter, not your handle, but your name right now is talking about 50-50 representation in Star Wars. And we have finally some women and POC representation in Star Wars. As we record this, it was announced, hasn't been announced by Lucasfilm yet, but Ava DuVernay announced that Victoria Mahoney is the second unit director on episode 9. That's really exciting. I don't really know what a second unit is, but that sounds important.
Well, second unit is, so the main cast is on the first unit, and second unit kind of gets more location shots and some other shots with secondary cast.
Yeah, any pickup shots that might need to be done that the editors need, and usually things that the director just doesn't have the time to do or trust them to do. So it can be a lot of different things. And my understanding is they generally work with the editors to try to help fill in the blanks. Sometimes they're like, well, I just need a cutaway or some crew members. So, I mean, it's awesome because I have talked a lot. Star Wars 50/50 is the hashtag where I talk about it. And there's a movement just generally in different industries to talk about gender diversity and all types of diversity. And so just seeing that we have a woman of color in there, she'll be part of the storytelling process. She'll have a seat at the table. She'll be interacting with J.J. Abrams probably on a daily basis. They have a lot of staff meetings and she's in there talking about storytelling. So, you never know how that will affect things, but this is a direct repercussion of Ava DuVernay sticking with female directors on Queen Sugar, because she worked on that television show as a director, as along with a lot of other directing of television, which seems to be a big way in for people. Rian Johnson was also directing television, and it was Breaking Bad that was one of the things that got him on people's radar.
So Victoria Mahoney was directing television.
Yes, she worked on Queen Sugar and any number of other television shows. If you look at her IMDb page, and I think it's really cool too. She used to be an actress and she decided to go back to film school.
Oh, wow.
Now, I did read on Kay, who's geek_K, who writes for Fangirl Blog. I did see on her Twitter today that second units in big budget movies, blockbuster movies, are becoming a huge deal. She referred to an article of someone that worked on the Lord of the Rings films, and they were talking about how they worked with a lot of the main cast. A lot of the stuff they did was like heavy technical stuff with stunts and all kinds of things like that. So who knows? Who knows what she's going to get to do, but I think it's going to be awesome.
3, 2, now!
So what's your name anyway?
Hey, kid, there's a big shot gangster. He's putting together a crew.
You think everything sounds like a bad idea.
If you come with me, you're in this life for good.
I waited a long time for a shot like this. I got a really good feeling about this.
Speaking of new Star Wars movies, we have a new one coming very, very soon. It's just a little over a month away, and we've been getting a bunch of new trailers. We got some new TV spots. There was even a new TV spot today. Have you guys seen all of the stuff?
So I've seen definitely the new trailer. And I haven't seen all the TV spots, but I've heard good things. You've been telling me good things about these.
Yeah, the TV spot they're calling Crew is probably my favorite, just because there's a lot of interaction between Han and Chewie in that TV spot. And there's one specific scene where Han shows Chewie his Sabbat cards, and the expression on Chewie's face and the noise that he makes of just exasperation and disappointment, I think is probably going to be one of my favorite parts of this whole movie.
Yeah, I can't remember there's another one today that had a little bit more of the interaction with, what's the bad guy's character's name? Boss?
Well, is it Enfys Nest or someone else?
No, that Enfys Nest is the character that's a female that has the kind of hooded,
right,
that they're doing kind of standoff with. This is Boss, who's played by Paul Bettany.
Right, who has like that saber whip thingy.
Yeah, and the scars on his face, apparently. Okay. Yeah, so there was a little bit more of that, because it seems like that character is sort of the big bad to be defeated, because we really didn't have an idea of who was you have to have somebody to defeat in Star Wars, right?
Right. Yeah, I'm really excited about Enfys Nest, and the fact that, for one thing, it's a female. Now, we don't know, is this a female alien or a female human? Do we know anything about that?
Well, there are rumors, but I'm not going to say.
Okay.
Because you guys don't want to be spoiled. But there's some interesting rumors, including that the action figure is being held back. So.
Oh, okay. But also interesting about that is that she leads a small gang of Cloud Riders, which is like a direct reference to the classic Marvel Star Wars comics.
Yeah, see, I don't know much about the comics. I hear Cloud Riders and I think about Care Bears.
Well, it is a funny name, but in one of the comics with Jackson and like this group of 8 people that Han kind of puts together, 8 people and aliens and droids that Han puts together, they have to go up against this gang of Cloud Riders who is led by Sergi X. I thought that was really neat.
It is pretty cool. And you mentioned something in the notes that you had for it, that it's very like almost 80s feeling. I'm getting kind of like an 80s, 70s feel. And the music in the TV spot called Crew is probably my favorite music I've heard for the film. Maybe it's not in the film, but it's awesome. I don't remember who's doing this score. Do we know?
Yeah, so John Powell is scoring the film, but then of course you have John Williams writing the actual Han Solo theme that John Powell will use. So, yeah, I'm excited.
So, quick question for you, Sarah. Do you mind that it's other people scoring the non-saga films, but if it's a saga film, it has to be John Williams?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think because the non-saga, the Star Wars story films are they're supposed to be different genres. They're supposed to be a little different. I think it's actually fitting that a different composer score them because, composers give such a tone and feeling to the movie itself. So I actually think it's a good thing. And also John Williams, he needs to save his strength for the Star Wars, the actual saga films. The saga films are John Williams' symphony.
I see a lot of people worried about Kira, maybe Han's girlfriend, that there be someone before Leia. I'm not really opposed to that. I kind of feel like Han was always, to me, read as a ladies' man before he met Leia. So does it bother any of you guys?
Okay, this is a great question because I thought it would bother me. And then this latest trailer, the official one, where we see Han and Kira in the bar, and Kira looks very cute in that black, outfit, the V-neck dress, and Han is pretty cute. So I just like seeing pretty people together. So I'm kind of shipping them. And I think the reason is because it's not Harrison Ford Han. I don't feel as much of a protective, like, no, he's mine kind of a thing. Does that make sense?
Until you have a crush on Alden Ehrenreich and then you'll change your mind.
Perhaps. But Kira is so pretty and I, she's petite and small and I see myself in her. So I can kind of, project myself.
Living the dream vicariously through her.
Yeah. That's what that's why we watch romantic comedies, right? You want to feel those feelings. And so I wouldn't mind seeing them, have a makeout session or something. I don't think she's going to be the love of his life because, as you said, Han is more of a ladies' man. So I think it would make sense that Han would be interested in women and he seems like he knows his way around them. So to see some of that, I wouldn't mind.
Oh, that's funny.
I think that no matter what, the movie's going to make us understand why he's so reluctant to probably fall in love and have friends, except for Chewbacca, within the scope of this movie. So what does he say? I have a good feeling about this.
Yes.
And we know Han Solo, I have a bad feeling about this. So what happened to get him there? It's kind of sad, but I think there'll be a little victory, at least for us, probably, in that he'll finally get something of his own, which is the Millennium Falcon. That makes us happy in the end. It's Ron Howard. I think he can make a happy story out of something that is a little bit of a, character building arc like that. I was just watching his movie Rush, which is about 2 Formula One race car drivers. And it kind of has the sad part where the one guy gets burned up in the fire, but at the end, the characters still get a really great resolution. And you see kind of the hopeful moment, even though the story beyond that movie is that the race car driver who Chris Hemsworth plays ends up not winning any more championships and essentially dying at a very young age. So it was cool how he made the story end positively, even though there was a lot of heartbreak in it.
Wow. You totally went way off of where my comment was going to fit. So
steer it back.
You were talking about how he says, I have a good feeling about this. And he makes a comment to Chewie and he says, you think everything's a bad idea. So it's almost like they switch places. So I want to know more about that. I also want to know who Chewie's hugging from the trailer.
Dude, it's Mala.
We don't know that, though.
It's Mala. Damn it. That'd be fun.
I think so. I mean, they've hinted that fans of the franchise for a long time will see a lot of Easter eggs in this movie. And John Kasdan, Lawrence Kasdan's son, was a fan. And I'm sure that that's kind of some of the things that we're going to see. There are going to be a lot of things that we're like, oh, that's really cool. I've always wanted to see that in the continuity that now exists.
You know what? I wonder if Peepka is in the movie.
Who's that?
Peepka is an Ewok hacker girl.
Oh, right. Oh, and she's in the novel, correct? Last Shot?
Yes, she's in Last Shot. I am all about Peepka. I need a stuffed Peepka.
That's just a funny word to say. Let's see Peepka. I want to see Peepka. Peepka. Try to say that like 10
Sounds
times
like
fast.
What a Borg says. Like what a Borg says. Peepka.
She's an Ewok hacker. It should be like our new mascot.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
We need a new shirt that has a Peepka on it.
Okay.
I'm waiting for her to be on the shelf in Tattooing Traders, and you can buy her and put her in my basket of Ewoks.
Yes.
Teresa, do you like the book? I mean, we'll talk about it probably at a later time so we don't spoil people, but you are enjoying it or you finished it?
So I am super excited about the book because, correct me if I'm wrong, Tricia, but I'm pretty sure that I am right in this. Daniel Jose Older is one of the first minorities that has ever written in the Star Wars universe that I am aware of. And that is exciting to me. He's Cuban. He's also Jewish, which is a really cool combination to me. And there's Spanish in the dedication of this book, which just blew my mind. And it made me cry. Not going to lie. It did make me cry. But there's an issue. I have only made it a few pages in because I have to finish the Last Jedi novelization for Bookworms, and I haven't. And we're recording that this week. So I haven't really gotten to dive in. I'm just so excited.
Well, Geek K at Fangirl Blog gave it a really great review, and she's a tough critic, and she really enjoyed it. So I am partway through it, and I'm loving everything. Just it cuts back and forth in time, and it's Han and Lando, and it's a lot of fun. So I'm enjoying it, and I'm only seeing positive reviews from people, but I like hearing that you got that kind of moment where you're excited to see representation in the storytelling, because now both of you guys have sort of felt that in the last year between Wonder Woman and this book.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, something else about this book really quick. The audiobook has a sort of ensemble cast. It's Mark Thompson who does a lot of the Star Wars books, but January Lavoie is voicing Sana Staros in the book. And then Daniel Jose Older is actually narrating in the book as well. And he did the narration in the audiobook from a certain point of view for his story. And I love the writing of his particular story in that book. Also, it was amazing. So that's part of the reason I'm so excited for all of this. And the book did just come out today as we're recording. It's April 17th. So if you haven't picked it up, go and pick it up. And the audiobook is out. Also, solo merchandise is out as well. There's some very cool things, stuff that I'm really excited about. Hot Wheels cars, Lego sets, The Hot Wheels cars look awesome, guys. I don't know if you've looked. I know you guys don't get them, but I freak out every time I see new character Hot Wheels cars, and the Lando car is sexy and I need it.
Everything about Lando is sexy.
Everything about Lando is sexy, but the cars are really cool. They're getting more creative with the body styles that they're using for the Hot Wheels cars, so I really like that. And then the Lego sets have some really cool stuff. I love the new Kessel Run Millennium Falcon Lego set. I think it's really fun, and you get all the characters in there, all the Lego minifigs, and that's really the only one that Lando's in. So if we keep talking about Lando, if you want him, you have to buy the Kessel Run set because he's not in anything else.
Oh, really?
No, he is not in any other set for the movie anyway.
Oh, man.
Yeah. So for those people that are big minifigure collectors, they have to buy the Falcon in order to get all the characters because that's what Lego does. There's also a collection of clothes for men, geek fashion stuff for men at Think Geek. I don't know if you guys have seen this, but this collection made me think of you, Sarah, because Richard likes all the jackets that look like characters, and there's a Han Solo men's jacket in the Think Geek collection that he might like. And you guys are doing a new thing for Skywalking with merchandise and stuff, right?
Yeah, we actually, thanks to Disney, we got a big box of 4 Black Series figures from Solo: A Star Wars Story. So we got Han Solo, Kira, her Corellian outfit. We got the Range Trooper, which is a really amazing figure, and also Lando. And so we have reviewed all 4 of those figures in 2 YouTube videos on our YouTube channel. So that's youtube.com/skywalking through Neverland. And they're fun videos. Like, you know, as per Richard and I, we kind of went overboard and did a little more with our video. And there's just some fun shots, and we have fun with our videos and the editing. So, yeah, I would highly recommend you check those out. And we also got a lot of the Funko Pop figures as well. So we're working on reviewing those, and we have one of those up, which is Enfys Nest and the Lando Funko Pop. So Richard and I chose our favorites, and the Lando Funko Pop has an amazing expression. He's actually sitting right here on my desk, and his eyebrow is up. So I'm going to be looking for this eyebrow up expression from Lando in the film, because
have you seen the Funko Pop video that they made for this movie?
No, I need to.
Well, because you're talking about the eyebrow the whole time. When in that video, his eyebrows are going up and down, and it's like the funniest thing. It's so Donald Glover, though, if you watch him, even when he's just doing whatever he's doing. But there's the Funko's eyebrow is going up and down, and I'm like totally like, that is so sexy. And then so I tweeted about it, and I can't remember who tweeted back, but it was a GIF of Amelia Clark on the Graham Norton show doing the eyebrow thing. And I don't know if she was talking about Donald Glover and Lando or if it was separate. So I kind of need to look it up. But I was like, okay, the eyebrow thing's kind of funny.
Well, it's definitely a highlight in these figures. Both the Black Series figure and the Funko Pop have that eyebrow.
It must be something he does.
Yes. I can't wait. It's going to be amazing.
Now, I don't know if you guys have been paying attention to Her Universe and to the Hot Topic Twitter account, but a few days ago, well, it was last week, they tweeted a teaser for the Her Universe solo collection coming soon. And then that was it. And nothing came out on the Friday when all of the Han Solo merch started to show up in stores. And then I went to my Hot Topic, and some other people went to their Hot Topics and Box Lunch, and we are finding the Her Universe and Our Universe solo collection in stores, but there has been no announcement. None. No publicity, nothing. It's like it's in a soft launch. Like, it's there. Go find it. And one of the things I saw is Her Universe's Twitter account retweeted the Galactic Fashion account, but made no comment.
Oh, wow.
They just retweeted it. And I was like, oh, okay. So it's like she wants you guys to know it's there, but they're not saying it's there yet.
They might not have gotten approvals yet, because just the way the process is, and they have to get all not approvals on the product, but actually the marketing, and so they just can't say. I mean, today she dropped some new dresses in the dress shop,
the Disney dress shop.
Yep,
yeah, including one with a little carousel horse. So
I saw that. I was like, oh my god, carousel horse must get. Okay.
Ashley and her universe. So this is just a quick plug for episode 33 of Galactic Fashion that I did my very first editing job on, guys. I'm so proud of myself.
I can talk to you about editing now. It's so much fun.
I know. It's so cool. It's like a whole new world opened up to me about podcasting. So I have a sort of segment in the show called Her Universe Takes Over the World, because quite literally that's what's happening. It seems like every other day there's an announcement from Her Universe about something that is coming out. And now there's a beauty collection for Infinity War. I mean, it's all over the place. I'm excited. I'm so excited about it. I just think it's kind of funny. I actually think the marketing for the solo collection was probably planned for May the 4th. And
yeah.
Yeah, so that could be when we see the rest of it. And Ashley did comment on this Hot Topic tweet that Torrid would be getting a collection too. So just be on the lookout for that, probably coming up in May. But speaking of Ashley, she has a book tour coming up.
Woo-hoo!
Big book tour. And she's coming to Texas. I have to drive 2.5 hours to get there to Frisco, which is near Dallas, but I'm going.
Awesome.
I'm already making plans, but her book called It's Your Universe came out, or no, it hasn't come out yet. When does it come out? The 8th? May 8th.
Yes, May 8th.
It comes out May 8th, and Ashley's book tour starts on May 4th. And Sarah, I know you got a copy early so that you can review it. I did too. Tricia, did you get one as well?
Yes, I did.
Okay, so we really can't say much, but the only thing I'm going to say is that if you are a fan of Ahsoka Tano and Ashley Eckstein, you need to buy the book. That's it. That's all I'm going to say.
Well, it's so exciting that she's going out in this new venture and writing a book. I mean, her story is so incredible. And she's inspiring herself. And now this book just will really help to inspire young women and young men as well. And not in our version of the book, but she did say that in the version of the book that will be out for everyone to buy, there's going to be a journal at the end. So you can write your thoughts and your goals and your dreams in her book.
That's so cool. And if you want to pre-order her book, you can go to the Her Universe website, heruniverse.com, and there's a link right there on the front page so you can go and pre-order the book. And you really should, because it looks like it's going to be awesome. And I think the cover's purple, which I love, and that's just
shocking no one.
No, shocking, I know, right? You make something purple, I'll buy it.
Have you guys seen this millennial pink thing at Disney?
Yes.
I don't like it.
Okay,
I don't like it.
I like pink, and I was trying to figure out what's the deal, like what's millennial pink. And then I went and looked up, I don't know, some obscure board. It's actually was the Pantone color of 2017. Oh. And that's kind of because of the rose gold trend where people were buying everything in that color. They decided to get the next hot color. So, with the lag time on 2017, that's why millennial pink. But 2018's Pantone color is
it's purple.
It's purple, yes.
I know.
So that's why they have put that color into the purple wall at Magic Kingdom.
I know. I'm so excited.
Instagramming in front of. So, that is why you should be excited about purple, because it will be the Disney color to get apparently millennials and us girls to just impulse buy things. And we have no reason why.
I can't wait for next year. Everything's going to be purple. They're going to make purple churros.
Yeah, Tricia, you had a pink. You had the rose gold churro.
Rose gold pink. Yeah, and it was delicious. And there's like millennial pink everything at like food everywhere, and I'll probably buy all of it when I go, because I'm going to go to Galactic Nights, so I'll have to go try to everything pink that's there. And Kira wears pink too, right?
I think so. Well, I am going in August to Disney World, and I can't wait to go because all the walls they've been showing, there's a whole post about the purple wall like you were talking about, but there's a bunch of other walls. So my goal for my Disney trip is to take pictures at all of the Instagram walls at Disney World.
Life goals for a fangirl.
Right?
I know, right? I know.
Oh, yay.
Now, there's one other thing. I don't know if you guys got a chance to see this reaction video of Jonas Suotamo, who now plays Chewbacca. But he has his baby, and he's watching the trailer to Han Solo. And he has the cutest reaction of trying to respond to the trailer, but not wake his child at the same time. And it's just awesome. But I wanted to use that to kind of talk about, we already have our first like casting replacement and nobody's really talking about it. That Peter Mayhew is no longer Chewbacca, and everybody keeps talking about Alden Ehrenreich and can he be Han Solo and all this stuff. And I was just wondering what you guys thought of this, and also are we going to be recasting Leia and things like that. And I just think, well, we've already recast Chewbacca and we've recast Lando and everybody's fine with it. So what's the issue?
Right. I mean, for one thing, Chewbacca, you know, it's a costume, so whoever is underneath the suit, his face and mannerisms, well, not his mannerisms, but his face is hidden. So it's the familiar face we always see. So I think that's why no one's really talking about it. But it is an interesting dichotomy there. I mean, people are going to be like uber watching Alden Ehrenreich, or at least some fans are, with, you know, they're going to watch him under a microscope, but not so much Chewbacca. So,
well, I wonder if we're more attached to Peter Mayhew because of going to Star Wars weekends, and like not the broader fan base may not be as familiar with that name for and attached, because he was a person behind the mask. I mean, we all know Peter was kind of a staple at he's been at the conventions. He's a fan favorite. He still was at the premieres. And, you know, a lot of it's just that the age and the kind of the, you know, physical deformities that he suffered from being so tall have hindered him being able to, I mean, the last Star Wars weekends, he could barely stand up. I remember he did stand up to do like the Wookiee arm raise, and James Arnold Taylor, who's like really short, had to almost catch him. It was kind of scary. So
I remember
physically he couldn't do it. But if you watch, say Jonas's last name again.
Suotamo? Is that? I don't know. I'm probably messing it up. And if he listens to this, he's going to be really disappointed in us.
Well, he seems like a really nice guy. He was on the Star Wars show a few weeks ago.
Yeah, he seems so sweet.
And he talked about doing boot camp for, you know, that Chewbacca, like you smash things, you smash buttons, and you have to cock your head a certain way. And Peter taught him all these things. And we know that Donald Glover talked to Billy D. Williams, and we know that Alden talked to Harrison Ford about the character. And I feel like someday we're going to see a younger version of Luke Skywalker, and probably Leia too. I don't see how, especially if they decide to go make television and do other things, that you won't see these, just like in animation, you won't see some of these favorites come in. And if you're not animating, you don't have the liberty of just getting the actor to come in and do a voice. So you're going to have to get somebody to play that character. And I'm not opposed to it, but I'm a theater person, and I always feel like the character is what it is, and people are going to come in and do their interpretations. As long as you get the spirit right and the storytellers get the spirit right, the actor can do a good job.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a great point of bringing up theater, because plays and musicals go through so many iterations, and there's a different cast that tours the show than is on the show, maybe on Broadway. And a great example of movie to play or to musical is Newsies, and Christian Bale's character versus the way that
Jeremy Jordan.
he's played versus Jeremy Jordan is completely different, but they're both fantastic. And the character is still the same character. And that's a really good point.
Yeah, so I'm like I was talking, I think, Sarah, with you, right, when we were talking about the potential for recasting Leia, and I know a lot of people have feelings about it, but I see it as a storyteller. If there were one thing that a lot of women wanted to see from my generation was to see Leia pick up the lightsaber, and if you were
Absolutely.
yeah, if you were looking at it as a storyteller, if you brought in, I mean, Leia's supposed to be what, in her mid 50s at this point, closing on 60,
Probably
but
later.
Yeah, we have a lot of actresses in their 50s that are doing action movies. And so you could essentially, a storyteller might not have imagined putting Carrie Fisher in an action role. But if you had the liberty to do anything you wanted now, you could cast an actress that could do action role and actually play out. I mean, the biggest moment in The Force Awakens, the biggest moment was when that lightsaber popped into Rey's hand. And I mean, could you imagine if all of a sudden it's Leia's whipping it out? For a lot of people, that would just be an enormous moment.
Amazing.
I wish it could be with Carrie Fisher, but at the same time, I'm imagining how some of it, how it could be played out, because not everybody has the attachment to the actress. A lot of people have a big attachment to her. I do. I know we all do. We've talked about it, but you could just imagine the dreams of all the women who wanted to see Leia pick up that lightsaber. Mm-hmm. And I was just talking about it today. It niggles me when Rian Johnson says, "Oh, she saved herself because it was instinct." I'm like, dude, how can you not have imagined she found out in Return of the Jedi that she could use the Force? And if you were fighting to save the galaxy, you might not train to be a Jedi, but you would. Rey knows that as soon as she knows she has a Force, she uses it. And I can't imagine that Leia wouldn't be using it in some way. So I feel like there's all the potential in the world for her to be like, all right, I'm just bringing the bombad now. We're done.
Yeah.
Either way, I think I'll be fine, whatever they do. But I think that all the characters eventually are going to be played by somebody else. And in 20 years, we're going to be talking about reboots and all sorts of crappy things. So maybe not crappy.
Well, I know we were talking over Twitter about this, and you had brought up some actresses who could play Leia, like taking out her lightsaber. Can you name some of those actresses?
There's, if you pull up like a list of actresses over 50 who are bringing it, you have Julianne Moore. Obviously, Meryl Streep has been brought up by a lot of people because of having played essentially Carrie Fisher in the movie Postcards from the Edge, which Carrie wrote. I could see like Kate Beckinsale talking like action. There's just so many. Sandra Bullock.
Oh.
She's in her 50s, but also
freaking yes, please.
Yeah,
if you
right.
think about it, if they cast a little young
right,
and then they let her play a little older, which is pretty easy for them to do with makeup, they could take that same actress and go 10 years back and do a story about Leia in her as a middle age, in the formation of the Resistance.
Right.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
There's a lot of potential there. And I think once we all get past this movie, I have been saying this all along. As soon as I saw Alden on stage at Celebration Europe, I was like, oh yeah, he's got it. He'll be fine. And Donald Glover, come on, did you see his interview on the Star Wars show? He just kind of exudes the swagger,
the necessary swagger.
Yeah. He's like been dreaming of being that character. I'm sure he's a fan, and that's what he talked about is I'm going to do right by this because I'm a fan. And then you look at like he's going to be hosting Saturday Night Live as Donald Glover, and he's the musical guest as Childish Gambino.
Wow.
So
my gosh.
Billy D. Williams was an artist too. So you start to see, how these people are sort of like a reincarnation or the same spirit of the actors that originally portrayed them. So I think we're going to get past this one. I'll be okay. Carrie Fisher is a hard one, and Leia simply because of the death and how that changes the calculus.
Right.
Yeah, but I think Carrie Fisher would be pissed if they just let the character die off.
I agree.
Because she's not there. I don't think she would be a supporter of that. She would want the character to go forward.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't want her story to end because of that. I mean, we need to see a resolution to Leia. We really
ultimately, I think they would have asked the family what their wishes were, and that'll probably weigh into it. And whatever they do, Billy Lord and the family would be the voice of, yes, this is what our mom would have wanted or our sister would have wanted, and they'll figure it out.
Yeah. All right. Well, before we get into our main topic, I just wanted to give a little plug for the TV show Timeless. Now, I know it's kind of random. I don't really have a segue, but
yes, you do. Sure, you do.
Okay, yes, I do.
His name is Matt Lanter, and he's Anakin Skywalker.
Yes. So speaking of people who are recast, Matt Lanter is the voice of Anakin Skywalker in the Clone Wars, and we all loved him in the Clone Wars. And now he is on a TV show, so we get to not just hear him, but actually look at him. And it's really nice. And and so the TV show is Timeless, and it's amazing. And I know, Tricia, you started watching this, I believe, when it first began in 2016. Is that correct?
Yeah, the showrunner is also the showrunner for Supernatural, which I've been a fan of. And I'm sometimes leery of time travel shows, but this one has a really great premise, which is functionally that they tell all these stories about history from different points of view and highlighting people who you might not think were heroes or were underserved by history. So there's stories about women, there's stories about people of color, like the Lone Ranger is based on a Black Texas Ranger. And there's this whole great thing when they go back in time and meet him, and how the pilot Rufus, who's a Black man, interacts with him, and just the different ways they do that. But the storytelling's really tight.
Yeah.
And right now it's pulling at our shipper strings.
Yeah. Well, the time team is made up of Matt Lanter, who plays Wyatt. He's kind of the muscle. He's their Marine. And then there's Abigail Spencer, who is the leader, and she plays the historian. So she kind of tells them, oh, don't mess with this person. They're important, and okay, now get that person because they're not right. And then Rufus, of course, is the pilot. So yeah, it's great. It's just their dynamic as a team is amazing. And then for us shippers, there's been, between Abigail Spencer and Matt Lanter, so Wyatt and Lucy, they just have this great chemistry, and it's been slow. It's a slow build. So that's what's fun about this show. And it's in its second season right now, and the ratings aren't doing great. It's on NBC. It's at 10 p.m. on Sunday nights. So for anyone who likes, Indiana Jones films, or just wants to see Matt Lanter, or just wants to see a really incredible story, please go watch Timeless or tweet about Timeless, #Timeless, and just show them that we want a season 3 because I don't want this story to end. It's so much fun.
I do think that they have a contained story for every season because they are concerned about that kind of ending. But one thing I also was like going, wow, at the last episode was there was 2 mothers talking about their children and this like heated, really important moment in the story. And I'm like, oh my gosh, we're having double mommy issues. And these women are like driving the lives of their children and protecting them, but they also have jobs and they have stakes in the story and questions as to, they're not all good. Not all of these people are good. There are definitely some shades of gray going on. So it's really kind of cool. And there's all sorts of intrigue. And then if you're just like a history buff, the last episode was John F. Kennedy.
Mm-hmm.
Whoa.
Yeah, and they go back in time to, I mean, Hollywoodland was my favorite episode because they went back in time to 1940s Hollywood, and it was just so much fun. So just the outfits, and it's like, if you love period dramas, if you love historical romance, it's all in there. Just go watch it.
Plug.
And, oh, did I mention Matt Lanter?
Yes, you did.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Matt Lanter. Okay.
Which is always my biggest, when people say, oh, somebody else can't play a character. I like Hayden Christensen as Anakin, but I love Matt Lanter as Anakin.
Yep.
And
yes.
I mean, and I feel part of that was because, I mean, this is not unknown. George Lucas is not an actor's director. Mm-hmm. I mean, he had, Natalie Portman, Ewan McGregor, Liam Neeson. I mean, these are all names. Hayden, he can act if you see him in other stuff, but I just don't think they knew what they were like supposed to be doing sometimes in this, as opposed to even looking at Rian Johnson directing these actors for The Last Jedi. I think he got everything out of these actors. In the behind the scenes, you can see him coaching him through the emotional stuff. And so I feel like Matt had Dave Filoni telling him, well, this is what you really need to do. Mm-hmm. This is where you're coming from. And Hayden didn't get that from George Lucas. So I think he was doing the best with what he had.
Definitely.
Okay, so our main topic, which we have a lot of news, but I kind of wanted to talk about, we're talking about different actors playing characters, but I wanted to talk about if you could pick a story. We have TV coming up, we have movies coming up, and tons of comics and books. What would you want to see? And one of the things that kind of sparked this was, did you guys see the preview for the comic out this week that has Rey, Finn, and Poe sitting on the Falcon talking after The Last Jedi?
I didn't, but that sounds amazing.
Which line is this in? Is this in the Star Wars line?
Poe Dameron comics.
Mm. And so it's in the Poe comics. Okay.
Yeah, but we haven't really seen them. This is our big three, and we haven't really seen them be the big three yet. If you think about Star Wars, and you think about the original trilogy and the prequel trilogy, those characters were all interacting, and we're finally just seeing them. Poe and Rey just met. And
right.
It's kind of like, okay, so I was like, oh man, I saw that, and I was like, oh, I could just imagine so many things that they could be doing as Resistance people and having fun and just vibing off each other. So I wanted to see more of them. But we've talked about this off the show. Who would not kill for a Lando standalone movie where he wasn't,
right?
Where he was the main character, and just let Donald Glover write and direct it.
Mm.
Yeah. Let him just direct, write, be in, do the music for his own movie. Just give it to him.
So that's like the start of my wish list. So do you guys have anything that you're like, what do I want to see from Star Wars?
Okay, so let's go around like round robin. So that was yours, Tricia, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I'll do one now. So I've always loved Twi'leks. I think they're just fascinating what they do, and they look so pretty. And I would love to see, let's say, a family of them. So I'm thinking either 3 sisters or 2 sisters and a brother, and they're like in their late teens or early 20s in Twi'lek years, because I think Twi'leks live slightly longer than humans. And I would love to see them kind of like a Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants thing, where you have each of them has their own story, and they get to do different things in the galaxy, and just how their stories intertwine and diverge as well. And I think that would be cool as a TV series, just to see the galaxy from a different point of view, and to see how Twi'leks like work on a family level.
Oh, I like that. In the fanfic community, we call that an OC, original character story. So you're not even wanting necessarily specific characters. You just want to see a culture,
yes,
and a certain type of alien. And I think that's like totally cool. Hera could come in maybe once in a while.
No, definitely. I would love to see like that, but I do think it should follow like new people. Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah.
Okay, so I want a Darth Bane film.
Ooh. Who would be Darth Bane?
I don't know.
Okay.
I haven't gone that far into it. I don't know. Darth Bane, I would
you know who could be Darth Bane? Oh my gosh. Hold on. What is that? Oh, okay. The Royals or the Tudors. Okay, so I could see Jonathan Rhys-Meyers as Darth Bane, and he plays, on the Tudors TV series, he plays Henry VIII.
Do you want Bane like an expanded universe version, or do you want like okay, so you don't want like a free-for-all, you would kind of want that reflected.
Yeah, I want to see him get all the stuff stuck all over him and he's like encapsulated in the big bug shell. Yeah, I want to see that. The whole thing. I want to see him crush a person's skull when he steps on it.
Wow.
This is stuff that happens in the books. Like, I want to see it.
She wants like the R-rated, this would be like a Sith centric.
Yeah, I want Drew Karpyshyn to write the screenplay. And it would be like just, that would be a very me thing. I like Old Republic stuff too, so I'd also like to see sort of the birth of the Jedi from Legends, with it being, you know, kind of how it, what is that book? Looking on my shelf for it, Dawn of the Jedi. That kind of stuff. I love that era. I also would like we're going round robin. Sorry, I'll stop now.
Well, I think Bane would be interesting because he's the guy who thought of the rule of two.
Yes, exactly.
Right.
Oh,
and it took 1,000 years for that to work out for the Sith, because functionally the Jedi had wiped them out. They didn't know that Bane was still around, and we do know that much. It still exists from the the Yoda arc from Clone Wars. But that's his legacy, is that this rule of two, the Sith kept kind of killing each other off because they were so selfish.
Yep.
So he's like, no, the Sith need to survive. So there's only going to be two of us, a master to wield the power and an apprentice to crave it. And so that would be really cool to see how Bane kind of got there. And it would also be neat because that would be kind of in the heyday of when the Jedi were at their prime.
Yeah.
So there'd be a lot of fighting with lightsabers and stuff.
It would be amazing. And see, like Darth Bane, if they go with the whole legend story and everything, we would get to see the time when there was hundreds upon hundreds of Sith and how they interacted and how he basically took them all out, you know, and created like the rule of two. And he found all of the Sith holocrons, and he basically created the Sith religion of the Force that we know is what Bane created. And I want to see the actual story of him creating the darkness. It's like, it intrigues me so much. I know I have problems, okay, guys, but this is like, I like it, okay?
All right, so I'm going to go light side.
Okay, so Tricia, what's something... Okay, I figured.
I'm going to go light side. I mean, I know you're going to go dark side, but I would love to see Bail, Breha, and young Leia and go to Alderaan, because I think it's cool. We're going to get to go to Corellia and see Kessel and those kind of places. And we see Alderaan in shots, but I would love to go into that kind of, it's beautiful, and, you know, there's family dynamic and what made her who she is. And I don't know, you could bring in other characters. I always had in my mind that the Handmaiden, some of them went to the Rebel Alliance and were working on Alderaan directly with Bail.
Ooh, yeah.
Because
that would
he was
be
like,
cool. Where
did Leia get her training from? But the Handmaidens could certainly tell her how to do the things she needed to do in the Senate and be a badass. So I think that would be kind of fun. So I could mix all my things up, and they could hire Keira Knightley.
Yeah, but could Millie Bobby Brown be Leia?
Yeah, I would totally. It's crazy. She looks like her so much.
Oh, I know. Yeah, she really does.
And that's Millie Bobby Brown's from Stranger Things, for people who don't know. And she's an amazing actress, and she can be really sweet, and then she can be really scary. So I could totally see her as a dark side child too. So.
Yes. Oh, wow. Wow.
Right, Sarah.
That
you
sounds
get one now.
amazing. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I would love to see Alderaan. That would just be so cool. Because I think we've all built it up so much in our heads. But, okay, so for mine, I think that it would be really cool to see a TV series that's a little dark. So take the Star Wars universe and make it a little darker, like Marvel's doing with their Netflix series, like Luke Cage and all of those, and Jessica Jones. Maybe not quite that dark and that graphic, but like you could do something like the Underworld on Coruscant, where Dexter Jettster's cafe is kind of like the gathering place of some smugglers and things. So I think that might be pretty neat as a storytelling device. I hadn't really thought more than like who could be in it, or is this a gang or something like that. But I think to take Star Wars dark would be an interesting experiment.
Yes, Sarah.
I think somewhere there's a rumored 50 or 100 scripts of a dark TV show that George Lucas commissioned. So
wow.
one day, I mean, I think he wanted to do The Sopranos in Star Wars, was kind of where he wanted to go with his Underworld show.
Well, there you go.
And, you know, a lot of the artwork for that has been reused and repurposed into other things, but there's always been a side of fandom that wanted exactly what you're talking about.
Nice.
Okay, so I'm going to go a little lighter here, and it's something I just thought of while we were talking. What about the traditional high school story, but set in the Star Wars universe, but it's the kids that are in the Jedi training or in the Jedi temple?
That'd be awesome.
But like a high school drama almost.
That would be so much fun.
I know, right?
Oh my gosh.
That's a great idea I just had. Yay.
That would be so much fun. But okay, but they can't have attachments, so how's that going to work out?
Yeah, but that's the problem,
I
because
know.
they're teenagers and they're trying to work through all of that.
Yeah.
How do I become a Jedi? But I love this guy and he's so amazing and he walked by me and didn't say hi and that kind of thing.
I would love that.
I would totally love that.
Tricia, what if it was like X-Wing pilot school?
Well, the X-Wing series books are some of my favorite in the comics, so I would be all over that, and I think that's like set up totally for TV.
Mm-hmm.
That they like haven't gone there more. I saw Jen Heddle, who's editor at Lucasfilm. She tweeted a comic cover and she called it, "This should be the Black Squadron movie poster." And they don't. I don't think it needs to be a movie. I want to see more about, you know, the squadron dynamic. I would love for it to be a TV show. I know they would never get Oscar Isaac to just do a TV show, but maybe if it was, you know, a limited run, but you could really spread out like the dynamics and have more characters and more kind of drama and that kind of stuff. So it'd be totally fun.
What if it was like a mini series? He might do it if it was like a mini series thing. Like 13 episodes.
The Last Jedi essentially sets up Wedge in the X-Wing series. So Poe is going through what we see Poe goes through what Wedge goes through in the X-Wing series books, which is he has to get out of the cockpit and become a leader and be responsible for the lives and the people he's training and victories and all that stuff. So Wedge Antilles as general and family man is one of my favorite characters in the expanded universe. So, you know, he had an awesome wife. She was head of intelligence, and they had to raise their family too. And he had daughters, and it created whole other dynamics. And so I would kind of like to see Poe be a dad. I'm totally a Pei shipper. So anyway, he could have little Force kids.
Ooh, Pei?
Yeah,
not
Pei.
Ro?
You could do whatever you want. Pei, Ro.
I like Pei and Ro. They're both fine.
I saw Ramaran was
Ramaran.
That's fun.
That doesn't sound right if you break it down, though.
Speaking of little half Jedi children, how about Jason from?
Oh yeah,
Jason Syndulla.
Jason can be at the school.
Yeah. Could be our way in the school. Nice.
Yeah, he's the one following to school on the first day.
All right, is it my turn?
Yep.
Yes.
Oh, okay. So I'm gonna kind of spitball here, but my favorite Forces of Destiny episode in this latest series, I think season 2 is what it was called, was the Anakin, Ahsoka, Padme one, where you kind of had that dynamic where, Anakin was really excited to take Padme away on a mission, and then Ahsoka crashes the party. And the whole dynamic there was really fun. So it would be neat to see that dynamic more. Just Ahsoka and Anakin and the training, and then getting into trouble with Padme. Kind of along the lines with the series that you're talking about, Teresa, with the young Jedi in the Academy. So just more the interpersonal relationships between people is what I want to see highlighted versus action and adventure. I think taking Star Wars to that kind of a level would be fun.
All right. Well, my last one that I have comes from a book that I really enjoyed. And I know, Tricia, you don't really like the writing of this book, but I love that it's Quinlan Vos and Asajj Ventress, and I need their love movie. That's what I need.
Yeah.
I need the Vos Ventress love movie.
I think there's so much potential in that, but they would just literally have to throw that book out. Just go there.
No, I know.
Yeah,
they would need to go there on their own. Yeah, they would need to go there on their own. But there's something about those two that they're so volatile on their own, but like when they come together,
the problem I had with that book was the first half was based on scripts by Katie Lucas, George Lucas's daughter, and she really brought Asajj to life.
And the book you're talking about is
Dark Disciple.
Thank you. Okay.
Yeah, and Katie really harnessed that kind of angry young woman vibe that, a lot of storytellers won't go to, but she was inspired by Buffy the Vampire Slayer and Tank Girl. So Asajj is just angry, and we're all fine with that. I think it's empowering to watch a character be angry and try to figure out who she is. And Quinlan, in some ways, a lot of people from the comics took him as being angry as well as a Jedi. But there was this great raw dynamic. It's just that in the second half of that book, it was based on concepts, not scripts, by a different writer. And it lost that context of a woman just writing about being an angry woman. And it was written by a man. And she just started doing things in order to finish Quinlan's story. And I'm like, come on, you could do this without her losing her anger, because that's what makes her who she is. She's always going to be angry. That's okay.
Yes, but they're like V squared.
Yeah.
They're awesome.
I would
that can be the title of the movie, V squared.
Yeah, just throw out the book and start with the characters and go for it, though. And I think if you guys have suggestions, our listeners.
Oh, yes. Our Yub Cubs.
Yeah. Talk about it. I'm sure Sandra is going to send it out and say, what would you want to see, and give your shout outs. But there are always people watching and listening. And so it's always good to talk about the things you want from the storytelling, as much as it is important to talk about the things you like and dislike from what has come in the stories. It's good to talk about what you would like to see from the stories.
And it's really fun to open up that Pandora's box.
Yeah, and I when you first suggested this, I was like, I'm not a storyteller. I don't know. And then I started thinking, oh, this, oh, that. So,
right?
So thank you for making me go there today.
Yes.
There you go.
Okay, well, now it's time. Roll it, Rob Dellinger.
Shout it out to the social media from Teresa and Tricia and Sarah. Shout it out, fangirl shout outs.
Okay, it's time to get to know some of our Yub Cubbers. So, in our Facebook group, which you can search Facebook for Fangirls Going Rogue group, we had some posts in there, and Sandra posted this question, and it brought up a lot of fun responses. So we're going to highlight that for our shout outs. This is the question. What movie traumatized you as a kid? Okay, so first, I'm going to read one of the responses from one of our Yub Cubbers, and then maybe we can go around and say what movies traumatized us. Okay.
Perfect.
Cool.
So, here we go. I am going to bring up Joe Pulford. He says, it wasn't a movie, but the episode of Star Trek The Next Generation where Picard is tortured. I remember it being so much worse than it actually is. I've seen the episode as an adult, and it's not nearly as terrible as it is in my head. Isn't that funny? As a kid, you totally do that. That actually happened to me, so I'll bring up one of my stories first, and that is E.T. I think as a kid, I was 4, and my parents started playing it for me. I was at home, and it came to that very first scene where E.T. is like running around in the forest and his heart is glowing this red, and it was so eerie and the music is like really intense. And as a 4-year-old, I just started crying and I didn't want to see any more. So I didn't end up seeing E.T. until my early teens.
Oh my God.
I know.
Like deprived.
I know. I couldn't get past that opening scene.
Well, I have Paula Rosenberg mentioned Rosemary's Baby.
Ooh.
She says, I snuck downstairs and hid behind a chair while a babysitter watched it. I still vividly remember where I was and the look of the recliner. I mean, the movie that scared me to death and just was Poltergeist. And my uncle worked on the movie.
Oh, wow.
And so I knew he had worked on the movie, so I was like really excited. And I guess because he was my uncle and he's a nice guy, and so I don't know what I expected. And then, and just everything in that movie scared me to death.
How old were
thing
you?
Under the bed. I don't remember how old it was. I just remember being so scared, and it horrified me. And like a TV's on, I don't even want to go near. Like if they're just buzzing, there are so many things in that movie that just traumatized me for a long time. So clowns, yeah, no. The things that you're like in your room, that you're laying in your bed, you're like, oh no, that's going to scare me to death now. So that kind of stuff. But we used to terrorize each other, our friends, with these like horror stories. And so that brought back like memories of that too. You guys ever heard the story Click, Click, Slide? Did you tell stories?
No, but I want to know this. What is it? A short story or a long story?
No, it's not. But it's the most terrifying story about this girl who's like upstairs and she hears the sound and it click slides her friend with her like arms cut off and something. It's like really gross.
What?
So it's like, yeah. Didn't you guys tell horrible stories?
We told the Bloody Mary thing.
Yeah, we did the Bloody Mary thing.
Oh yeah, Bloody Mary. We used to I remember that being in the bathroom and kids running in and shutting the lights and screaming Bloody Mary 3 times, and like then I wouldn't go out of the bathroom until somebody else came. So I was not going to see Bloody Mary in the mirror. No. Yeah, so we were all haunted by these things as children. Teresa, did you have a favorite?
It's funny. I saw this question asked and I was thinking there really wasn't one that traumatized me in the same way that it seems to traumatize everyone else. So there's a movie that has, I guess in a way, traumatized me because I won't watch it. And it's Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, which doesn't make any sense because it's not scary. It's not a scary movie. But I think that's where my dislike of person-on-person violence and torture came from. I really don't like watching movies like that. And that movie has some really wicked violence in it. From what I can remember, I won't watch it. But that's what sticks out in my head is the violence in that movie. And so I think it's influenced me to where I don't really like violent stuff. But there's a movie on here that scared somebody. And Matt Clifton, my dear, dear Beverly drinking friend. What is wrong with you? He says in the comments on Facebook, he says, the brave little toaster. I'm serious. And he posted a bunch of clips in the Facebook group of different scenes from the brave little toaster. And I just remember all of those as being like the pivotal points of the movie. Like, they're so important. And when the air conditioner sacrifices himself, you know, I mean, it's like, I just don't understand. Oh my gosh. It's just the Brave Little Toaster. I love the Brave Little Toaster, but there is one movie that I can think of that in a weird, again, these are like weird traumatizing ways.
Mm-hmm.
The Land Before Time traumatized me because three horns don't play with long necks. And I didn't understand why for a very long time. It didn't make sense. I was like, you're both plant eaters. Why do you not play with each other? And then I realized, you know, like segregation and, you know,
they
all the
don't look
things.
like each other.
They don't look like each other. And I just never understood why Sarah was so mean.
Yes.
And, you
I
know,
never really liked
was,
that her name was Sarah either. I didn't identify her with all. I identified with Petrie. He's my favorite.
I like Ducky. But another thing that was traumatizing about Land Before Time is I never wanted to see a tree star, because I felt like if a tree star was real, then that meant death was coming.
Oh my gosh. Like I'm like having childhood palpitations.
Right.
Amanda Bond mentioned Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, and specifically the boat ride. Yeah. So I don't even like that movie. Like gives me the heebie-jeebies in general. So,
it's such a sweet movie, but the boat ride is terrible. I will always fast forward through the chicken with its head being chopped off.
There's no earthly way of knowing
He's singing.
Which direction we are going. There's no knowing where we're rowing or which way the river's flowing. Is it
Prince Bell Jr. said The Wizard of Oz.
I could see that.
Well, he says not so much the movie, but something that happened during the movie.
Oh.
Yeah, he got left alone. He was watching it. He was young. He was like 5, and both of his grandparents left him there by himself.
Whoops.
Flying monkeys in The Witcher, they're scary.
Take special care of those ruby zippers. I want those most of all. Now fly! Fly!
They are.
Yeah.
That's like scary music.
Yeah, even when you hear the music, it's like, and I could totally see that. I wanted to be the Cowardly Lion.
Yeah.
I can see it too, but I grew up with it. And so for me, it was never really a scary movie at all because my grandmother and I watched it all the time, and she showed me all the classics and stuff. So I'd seen a lot of Judy Garland stuff, and, you know, so The Wizard of Oz was one of her favorites. But I can see how it is scary for other people, and especially with the music. And I know one of my high school friends was afraid of this movie because of the Munchkins. They freaked him out.
Wow.
And I'm serious. Like, the Lollipop Guild was not his friend.
Yeah.
They are creepy.
We wish to welcome you to Munchkin Land.
Well, I do have one more story to round this out, and it's one of my own, and it's not something that so much scared me as scared other people, and I delighted in it. So I have to tell you this story. I was at my friend's house. I was probably like 10 or 11, and she was having her birthday, and it was a sleepover. And all of us girls were on the floor in the main room, you know, with our sleeping bags, and we were all, I convinced them to watch Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, because I think I just saw Last Crusade, and I was like, no, we need to watch the Temple of Doom now. So we all were watching it. And it gets to the part, you know, you get to the scene where they're eating monkey brains and all the gross stuff. And so some of the girls were like kind of grossed out, and they're like, why did you make us watch this? Blah, blah, blah. And then at one point, then like shortly after that, that's when Willie has to reach her hand through the whole gross bugs to unlock something to release, Indiana Jones. And that is when 2 cockroaches decided to run across the floor right between us and our sleeping bags and the film. And all the girls jumped up and screamed bloody murder, and they ran. And it was just the funniest moment ever. It's like those cockroaches were lying in wait and timing their entrance.
That's really, really funny. You know, you made me think of one other thing. So a lot of people talk about Jaws being terrifying for them.
Mm-hmm.
I never saw Jaws until I think like 2 or 3 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And when I watched Jaws the first time, I looked at Greg and I was like, this was supposed to be scary.
It was back then. It was back
well,
then.
I know. I get it. But I think my generation was spoiled by Jurassic Park and dinosaurs.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
And Jurassic Park didn't scare me. I was like, it was a thriller. It didn't scare me. It was a thriller. You know, it's not something that traumatized me in any way because, you know, afterwards I'm like, more raptors. Yes. You know, so I think that going back and watching things that were supposed to be scary back then, that are like the first animatronics that are like, I'm a shark, rah, 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 is not as scary when you grew up with CG T-Rexes.
Right, right.
The cockroaches, though, that's well done.
I know. It was amazing. All right. Well, that was an awesome discussion. I had fun.
Sidious, Anakin, Luke and Leia, Qui-Gon Jinn, C.O. Bibble, Kylo Ren, Salacious Crumb, Bib Fortuna, Boba Fett, Amidala, Wicket, R2-D2, BB-8, I can barely keep it straight. It's a character discussion. It's the fangirls on character. It's a character discussion.
I'm excited for this one. I think probably a lot of people are, because does everybody have their tickets for Infinity War?
Yes, I've got my tickets to the press conference this weekend. Woohoo!
Ooh!
I
Do you get to see the movie, or are they making? Well,
unfortunately, I won't get to see the movie until 2 days before it comes out. So they're making us go without knowing too much about it, which sucks because then we don't know what questions to ask. So,
that's every Star Wars press conference.
I know,
ever.
I know. But usually they let us see the movie first. So yeah, it's going to be interesting. And there's going to be like 20 people there. So I don't know if everyone's going to even get to talk, you know, of the cast and the director and everything. So we'll see, but we'll be recording.
Well, kind of what we wanted to do was talk about the different characters in the Marvel universe and how they might line up as like archetypes and a type of character in the Star Wars universe. So this was kind of fun because first we had to look, there's a lot of characters, and then we had to think about what do they represent.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the most obvious is Captain America, right? Just because of who he is and what he's represented to building Marvel universe. And you think of, he's the equivalent of Superman in the DC universe. So he's supposed to be kind of the central hero, the one that represents kind of the biggest fight, what we would like to be. He's optimistic. And, that's why a lot of people struggled with the latest iteration of Superman, and not just because he killed. But I mean, who do you guys see as the Captain America of Star Wars?
Yeah, this one took me a while. This was sort of my last one when I was kind of filling in our list that we have, but I kind of kept going back to Luke and Rey, just because Rey's so dang optimistic about everything, and I feel like, at least at this point, maybe she's not anymore. And then Luke was like that all through the original trilogy. I mean, he was convinced there was good in his father and all that stuff. So I kind of went that direction.
Yeah, that definitely makes sense to me. I mean, Luke is kind of the central figure. In Captain America, he's the central figure. So your logic is sound, Teresa.
And hopefully not too predictive.
Oh, gosh. Right?
I believe that they need to make Rey a character like Captain America, but they haven't done a good enough job of it.
Yeah,
and that's where they're going to struggle in the future. I think that
Are you talking about Star Wars?
Yeah, Star Wars, specifically because Captain America harnesses everything that comes from Marvel. And, that was really the character that got, Iron Man obviously made it look like they could do it. And Robert Downey Jr. brought his own thing, but Captain America really harnesses the narrative, and it allows Iron Man to kind of question the heroics of superheroes that Captain America represents. So that's what we see kind of in The Last Jedi, but it came at the cost of really letting Rey really shine. She's missing from the final act functionally of The Last Jedi. So she didn't really get to have her, let's see, it was Captain America, the first Avenger, and then what was the second? Captain America, Winter Soldier. So we're going to say The Last Jedi were that. It didn't quite. At the end of that movie, we really knew where Captain America stood as far as friendships and what he was willing to do. And Rey didn't get that kind of focus. So there was a lot of focus on the group dynamic. It was almost like The Last Jedi tried to be the Avengers instead of establishing a new Luke type character, a new Captain America. So, I brought up Iron Man, and he's not really anti-hero, although he has some characteristics of that, but he certainly didn't start out to be a hero. Life's events compelled him to be a hero. So is there a character that you guys see that is kind of like him in Star Wars?
Han Solo, a little bit. It's like he was kind of compelled to be that hero, and he has that sassy attitude. He's not necessarily super smart, though, but he does a lot of enhancements to his Millennium Falcon, like Iron Man tinkers around with his suit. So I could kind of see that. I could make that comparison.
Yeah, so I had actually kind of picked Sabine in a way because she starts off sort of the way that Tony Stark does in creating weapons for the other side.
Ooh.
And things like that, and then realizes what she's doing and then is sort of outcasted, but continues with who her newfound identity is. And she's all about technological stuff and new gear and new tech and all of that. And she is super smart. So I kind of saw her as like an Iron Man sort of thing. And then she goes home, she goes back to Mandalore, and she asserts herself and everything. And she still comes back to her family, and because Iron Man tries to bow out at one point and say no.
Right.
Goodbye.
I picked Poe because if we see Iron Man as kind of enhanced, he's an enhanced superhero. He doesn't have superpowers other than his mind. And Poe has the X-Wing as kind of like the extension of his abilities, of himself as a human being. And The Last Jedi essentially strips him of that ability because he, blows up his X-Wing, and he has to figure out who he's going to be. And we see Iron Man go through that in what's the third movie, where he has to loses a suit, and he has to rebuild it, and he has to figure out who he's going to be. He rises up as a leader of the Avengers, opposing Captain America. So that's kind of where I see Poe, but I don't know that there's a true alignment yet with Iron Man as a character that's really challenging the hero in the same way. Black Widow, I actually think has a pretty good alignment with a character, and I think she's a Han Solo in a way. She's the character that's went to be kind of bad, or it's had a life that wasn't necessarily true and turned it around, and now is going to be hero. Yeah. So that's why I see Han.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I could see that. I could also almost see Lando as that, because Black Widow is a bit of a turncoat, especially in Captain America, not Winter Soldier, but Civil War. In Civil War, she's on Iron Man's side, and then turns again to be with Captain America. So yeah, I could definitely see Lando there as well.
Yeah. And so the next one we had is Black Panther, and I guess I sort of focused in on the royal part of Black Panther, not really like his superpower, but Leia to me sort of fits that because she's definitely our royal of the story. And she does have the Force, so technically she has a superpower. We just haven't really seen her use it yet.
Yeah.
I'm on board for that one.
Okay. Okay, so then Ant-Man, which is definitely our criminal turned hero. Tricia, your suggestion of Jin is spot on. I know you're like question marking it, but I think you're right. Totally, just not as funny.
Yeah, that was the one part, because he ends up being kind of the comic relief sometimes, and she's not.
You're Captain America, and he touches his chest.
Jeez, I know you know a lot of super people, so thanks for thanking of me.
That's one of my favorite parts.
I know, it's like, dude, that's what I would want to do, but I wouldn't actually do it.
Speaking of actresses who could do Leia,
yes,
Evangeline Lilly, who's playing Wasp.
Oh, okay.
And she worked on Lost.
Oh,
Abrams franchise. So that was totally a sidebar. But when I thought of her, because I'm so excited for Ant-Man Wasp, I love Evangeline Lilly. She's a Tolkien actress too. So I don't know. I don't know enough about Scarlet Witch specifically to.
I don't know, but she is kind of supernatural. So I was like, Mother Talzin.
Yeah,
she's got red. She's got red mist instead of green mist.
Yeah,
that works for me. I like it.
Sure,
I like it. That's great.
So then Vision is our android trying to be human. I was out going out on a limb here, guys, because I don't really think there's a good Star Wars comparison for this, but Force Ghost?
Well, honestly, I even would say R2 or BB-8, just because they're so human-like. It's not like they're technically aspiring to be human, but they help so much. And like without them, you couldn't fly an X-Wing. You couldn't navigate through an asteroid field. You couldn't do all these things. And Vision, he's got one of the stones of power. So, without that stone, I don't know if I guess the team could exist without Vision, but I think it has something to do with his power stone, whatever that stone is called.
Okay, so here's my Vision take.
Okay.
He's 3PO because he says really weird, kooky things. And he was created, Vision is in some ways a creation of all of the superheroes, but specifically Thor is related to him. So Anakin created 3PO. So Vision, he's created by like the supernatural hero. So that's kind of where I went. But I feel like Vision...
Wasn't Iron Man created Vision?
Iron Man created Vision. Well, Vision came from Jarvis.
He did, but he also, there's the part where Thor, ultimately his choice sort of makes him become it makes it all come together, right? So, I didn't mean create, I guess, well, anyway.
You used the wrong word, okay? Use the wrong verb.
I don't know how the creation, like a turning point. Anyway, so there you go.
Okay, so then we have Thor. And nobody put anything for Thor, which I think says a lot because Thor is hot and he's Thor and no one can be Thor. So
I don't know. Yeah, I couldn't really. I'm trying to think even now.
I don't think we don't have one.
Would it be Poe?
No, because it needs to be like someone who's immortal.
Yeah, we don't have any.
What about Yoda? Maz or Yoda?
No. I just don't think he.
They don't have flowing locks.
They're not hot enough.
Kind of that, like, there's no immortal character that's like beer chugging and a Greek, deity, Thor, Norse god type. They need that.
Buddy on the hotness level of Thor in Star Wars. We just don't. Right. Okay. Just face it.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. So Nick Fury, who's our mentor character, we have a bunch here. So Holdo, Yoda, Obi-Wan. Any of those stand out to you guys? Maybe. I don't know. I kind of started veering towards more of an Obi-Wan.
Yeah, Obi-Wan needs to be on this list.
I don't know if there's an Obi-Wan in Marvel yet.
Yeah, I don't think so.
I mean, if you look at like how Captain America kind of stays true to his principles, and Obi-Wan is kind of that way and you think about the how he was written in the Revenge of the Sith novelization, where everybody sees him as a hero, but he is very insecure about himself. And we know that Captain America was bullied. I could see kind of some there, but like Nick Fury, kind of Yoda-ish in that he pops in and out when you need him, but he's not. Like there's a story to him and he's a complete character, but he's just there as the characters need to be kind of set in place, or they need something like a big ship to blow things up.
Or even Mon Mothma.
Oh, there you go.
Maybe, or maybe Mace Windu is Nick Fury. Just saying.
That's way too meta.
I mean, they both quote unquote die, if you will.
Yeah, no kidding. Holy buckets. Oh, that's fun.
I was waiting for that. That was good.
Well, Teresa, I was interested in your pick for Gamora.
I don't know. I thought like badass sort of alien chick, has a certain sort of stature, just very like almost martial arty, kick your butt sort of thing. I was like Ventress, you know? She's
excellent.
Very Gamora-ish, only her dad's not a big giant purple man, or that I know of.
Right.
I mean, I don't know who Ventress's dad is.
I was just thinking, of Hera, and she kind of reminds me of Captain America as well. She's the leader of the team. So I think Hera's very, very Captain America-esque.
Okay.
Sorry to veer off there, but let's go to Groot, actually. And I think Groot is kind of the muscle. So he's a lot like Chewie.
Oh, yeah, that's a better answer than what I put. Yeah, Chewbacca, totally. I am Groot.
Right. They say it all with nothing. Yep. That's a really bad hand. I am Groot. That's a really bad hand, Han. Oh, that was one of the things from the new teaser is that Lando says Han wrong. How does he say it in Empire?
He says hand. Like Billy D
sounds
does.
like
he says hand.
Yes.
Yeah, he says it that way. I was like, oh, that's perfect.
Yep.
Yeah.
I love
it. So Rocket Raccoon. I'm saying Chopper because Rocket is like my favorite. He's my favorite, but he's a jerk.
Yep.
And Chopper's a jerk.
And Rocket doesn't think anyone loves him. And Chopper kind of feels that way too, I think. So,
we should ask Dave Filoni what he thinks about that.
Yeah. Hey, Dave, you're
Chopper.
Rocket.
I think he'd be good with that.
He's a trash panda.
He's a trash droid.
Trash droid.
Okay, I totally want to talk about the next two because we ended up picking between us the same character.
Mm-hmm.
We both said that Anakin, we were picking between Peter Quill and Hulk, and we both picked Anakin. So I was thinking like Peter Quill's a demigod. So and so that would make sense for Anakin because he's has a human mother and I don't know, the Force is his.
You just don't want to say it. You don't want to say midichlorians, do you?
I don't. I can't even.
Well, I'll say it. Anakin has a high midichlorian count. Not even Master Yoda has a midichlorian count that high.
It's like the craziest thing to me to take something mystical and try to make a STEM answer for it. I don't do that, people. So yeah, no, exactly. But Hulk is like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde.
Right, and you had written that there. So you had said Hulk, monster inside, Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde. And I'm like, dude, that's Anakin. And then he turns into Darth Vader. It's like he always had that roiling within him. Even when he goes to Mortis, he sees that vision of Darth Vader. So that's why I feel like Anakin is more like Hulk.
Okay,
those are both good.
I'm going to go totally with this Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde to a different side, which is the villain side.
Okay.
Ooh. Darth Maul. No,
because he's more the
Emperor, dude.
Yeah.
The Emperor, dude.
Yes.
Dude.
Yes.
Duh. Oh my God.
I mean, he literally goes through a tree, like in Revenge of the Sith. He all of a sudden's like, hey, here's my ugly mask.
Right.
You know,
let me turn my Lego head around.
That's like one of my favorite scenes. I laugh every time I see it because Anakin's standing there and the Emperor's like pouring lightning into Mace Windu's lightsaber, and he's like, make him stop. And I'm like, Anakin, he's totally suckering you. He could stop the lightning at any time and not get zapped. But he's like, make it stop as he's like turning into it. That part just cracks me up. So it's like literally Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde in that scene that he's doing it. And like George Lucas, he likes his homages.
Yeah, that's good. I like that. I like that a lot.
And last but not least, we have to go with the Marvel character who wasn't going to be part of the Marvel universe until
thank you, Sony.
Yes, until someone ran Spider-Man into the ground. So he's the youthful hero.
Yay.
Yeah, I see Ahsoka in Spider-Man. Spider-Man likes to run out and just go do stuff without thinking a lot. And especially his appearance in Civil War, I'm like, that's so Ahsoka.
I could see that. I could also see Poe at the beginning of The Last Jedi.
Yes.
As well.
And I wrote Padme in The Phantom Menace and Attack of the Clones. Just because she has that that was the whole thing that Sony missed, was they kept trying to make these adult stories about Spider-Man. And Spider-Man is essentially the idea that we were talking about for a TV show. It's like it's like the guy in high school who's it's just like about being in high school. And it's also with a superhero spin on being in high school. So as soon as they aged Spider-Man up, he wasn't Spider-Man anymore. He's just a different character. So Padme in the first two movies really is that kind of, there's, kind of like a youthful optimism. She's like, well, I'm just going to go back and win the planet back. And like, I don't know if you're like a 29-year-old senator, you go, well, I'm just going to go win the planet back because you're, so there's some youthful, I don't know, energy to the decision-making process for her. And that's kind of what I thought Spider-Man would be kind of the equivalent. So that was fun. I'm like so excited for this movie, but I'm scared to death for Infinity War. And then we have to wait a year until the next part. So,
so we'll have Ant-Man. We'll have Ant-Man and the Wasp. So
definitely.
Yes. All right. Well, yep, Cubs, that's the end of another episode. In between shows, you can visit us over at fangirlsgoingrogue.com. You can find us on Twitter. We're at FGGoingRogue. Tricia is at Fangirl Cantina. I am at Ice Cold Penguin. Sarah is at Jedi Tink. And our social media manager, Sandra, is at Geek Chic 9.
For any of these topics, if you want to weigh in, just send us an email, contact@fangirlsgoingrogue.com. You can join our Facebook discussion on Fangirls Going Rogue, or check out Tumblr, fangirlsgoingrogue.tumblr.com.
And on Instagram, we are at FGGoingRogue. You can also join our Facebook group. Just search Facebook for Fangirls Going Rogue group, request to join, answer the questions that pop up, and then maybe you will show up in a show with one of your comments. You can also voicemail us. We are 331-21-EWOKS. And please go over to our YouTube channel where we have our podcast there as well. So if you'd rather listen on YouTube, that's where we are.
And this is our most important request. If you love this podcast, please go to iTunes and leave a positive 5-star review. We need your reviews so more people can find us.
So until next time, yub.
Yub. Yub. Yub.
Contact@fangirlsgoingrogue.com. You can join our Facebook.
Captain America.
Mr. Lang.
It's an honor.
The danger must be growing, for the rowers keep on rowing, and they're certainly not showing any signs that
They are slowing!
I got a really good feeling about this.